Hello, this is going to be a kind of an introduction and instructional on Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'm actually just trying to learn it myself. So I've got the board set up as instructed to do. Kind of go over an overview here. It says in Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, you will take on the role of the leading magicians of the age, scholars of the history and practice of practical English magic. You will traverse Europe, attending concerts and dinner parties, earning repute by consorting with famous personalities, and performing great feats of magic. As you increase your influence and power, you will find and accumulate rare books of magic. Make important connections that will help you in your endeavors and grow your magical ability in order to defeat the gentleman with the thistledown hair. So, going over the setup, it says place the map of Europe and London in the center of the table, which I've done. Shuffle each type of card separately to form 7 decks and place these face down near the board, which I've done there. Draw 3 books of magic and place them in a line face up near their slots on the edge of the board, which I've done here. 3 books of magic. Draw 4 feats of magic and place them in a line face up near the slots on the opposite end of the board, which that's these here, 4 feats of magic. Draw 2 named connections and place them face up near the board. That's 1, 2 named connections. We got Viniculus and Tom Levy. Alright, place the fairy token on the raven space of the fairy tracker. That's right here, raven space. Give each player a magician board along with wooden discs and pawn matching their color. I've done that down here. We got Jonathan Strange with his discs, pawn, John Segundus with his discs, and Gilbert Norrell with his discs. Each player should place 6 discs in the center of the silver basin on their magician board. I did that. Take another disc from each player and stack them in a random order on a space of the prestige tracker showing the wax seal, which that's right here. And I actually put them in order just left to right from the way I've got it lined up, just because that'll make me easier for me. But I guess you're supposed to do it randomly. Alright. The remaining discs will be used to gain connections over the course of the game. Deal 2 invitations and 2 introductions to each player. I did that. Introductions, invitations. I've done that for each player. And finally, deal 3 feats of magic to each player. They're kept face up. And that's what I've got here. 3 feats up for 3 feats of magic for each player. And that takes us to how to play. So after I read that, I'll come back. Alright, well, I've read the rules and actually gotten a couple of turns in. So I was going to go ahead and go through a turn with you guys. I'm showing you the state of the board right now, and kind of give you an idea of how it works. So the first thing you'll do at the start of a round is move the year token, which is this token right here. And so we'll go on up to 1808. Now when it gets to 1811, 1813, 1815, 1817, at one of those points then you'll have a chance to fight the gentleman with the thistledown hair, which is this fellow right here, which is the name of the game, to try to defeat him. So that's the first thing you do. Next you'll reveal a new card of Marseille, which is these right here, and which this shows is how many spaces you'll move the marker on the fairy track, and that kind of shows the fairy's strength. So Right here we got a 0, so it actually won't move. It'll just stay here at 7. Also shows you what magical elements you can play this turn to do magic, and the number of invitation cards you'll draw at the end of your turn. Alright, the next thing you do is draw a new book of magic. So these are the books of magic here, so you'll discard the one at the end of the row, and it just goes into discard pile. You'll draw a new one. These will all slide down, and you'll put the new one here. Alright, the next thing you do is start the player turns. Now the player turns go in the order that you are on this prestige track. So currently Gilbert Norrell is highest on the prestige track, followed by Joan Segundus, and then Jonathan Strange. So start the turn with Gilbert Norrell. And the first thing you do is choose an action or still the waters. Now, what that means is you have these action spaces on your board here that you can take. The ones you've already taken have these tokens on them. You can't take them again. So the available actions are here. And if you steal the waters, then you can take these and put them back here, so those actions will be available again the next turn. But of course then you don't have an action for this round. So the actions you can take are take a book of magic, which are those over there, or you can use the King's Road, which is basically a magical mirror or something like that that lets you to move to any location on the board with one of your moves. And these other spots, you remember the card of Marseille up there I showed you, it tells you what elements you can play magic this round. So this time it's just birds. But if you had cards that you wanted to play other magic, you could take an action where you could also play wind and trees. Now this one lets you play birds and stone. So taking those actions allows you to play other elements that aren't allowed by the current card of Marseille. He's already used this one that lets you do hills and rain. And this one lets you do your special power. Each player has a special power that's different than the others. So we'll have to decide what we want to do for old Gilbert Norrell this round. And this is Gilbert Norrell's cards. We see he has three invitation cards, but he doesn't have any introduction cards currently. So he may want to go to one of these locations so he can draw some introduction cards, because those are what allow you to get prestige. So currently he's in Rome. That's where he currently is, so he'll be able to play that. So I don't think he needs to take the magic mirror action to move wherever he wants. And the card already has ravens, which he has one, but he'll be able to play. He won't be able to play rain with any of these, so I think what he'll do is take a book of magic with that action. Not sure any of these will help him this round, other than it will increase his magicianship, as you see, which is this right here. So he'll just take the one on the end here, add it to his player, and then we slide them down and add a new one to the board. So that's his action. So after you've done actions, then you can do your visits, where you can move up to 2 times and try to fulfill your invitations and introductions. So you can do 2 invitations or 2 introductions or 1 of each. So he's already in Rome, as I said, so I think we'll play this invitation card to allow him to draw 2 introduction cards. And add those to his hand. Let's see who we got. French writer in Paris, and Sir Walter Pole in Westminster. Well, he's really too far to get to any of those in 1 turn. So he will move. He can move twice, so he'll move to Paris and then to Geneva. But he does not have a card that does him any good in Geneva, so he won't be doing any more introductions or invitations this round. So now we go on to the do magic phase. Well, as I said, ravens are the current element that's available. On this feat of magic, he does need 2 ravens to complete it. This is stone, so that doesn't really do him any good. He does have this 1 raven, so he'll discard that. Up there, which lets him get a raven token and place it there. So he needs 1 more raven to complete this feat of magic, which will be an old lady is quite transformed into a cat. But that will give him 3 magicianship if he completes that. And magicianship is kind of what you want in this game, because when you confront the gentleman in the thistledown hair, you're going to total your magicianship from your completed feats of magic and your books of magic and compare them against the strength of the gentleman in the thistledown hair. And if you're higher, then you defeat him and probably going to win the game. If you're lower, then the game goes on. So, anyway, Norrell doesn't have anything else he can probably do this turn. Now, this book of magic, if I had a card with an element of a tree on it, I could play that and turn it into any element I want. So I could turn it in either to another raven, since that's available. It always has to be something that's available. So that would be whatever is on the current Marseille card, or if you'd played an action that lets you play some different types, then you could also play that element from a book of magic. But that is it. Looks like this time. So at this point you would confront the fairy. Confront the fairy if it was 1811, 1813, 1815, but it's not. So then we finally go on to draw invitations and discard down to 5 cards, flip any books of magic face up. Yeah, I forgot to mention, if you use a book of magic, like if I had discarded a card with a tree element to change it into anything else, then you flip it over so you can't use it again this turn. But anyway, so I'm allowed to draw 1 invitation. So I got fashionable party in Padua, and I do not have more than 5. So that's the end of a turn of Gilbert Norrell. So let's do 1 more turn. It is now John Segundus' turn, because he's next on the prestige track. So let's see what he's got, what he might want to do this turn. He is currently in Madrid, and he's got things for Geneva, Gibraltar, Salamanca, and he needs a rain, but he can't get that. He needs a rain and a wind, he can't get that because birds are what's He needs a wind. But birds are what's available this turn. And he can only play hills. He could do an action to also play hills and trees, but he doesn't need that. So he's not going to be able to play any elements this time, probably, that he needs. So maybe he just needs to try to go to one of these locations. So, alright, so I guess for his action, he's going to get a Book of Magic also. He'll just take this one on the end, which would let him play any card to turn it into a heal. He doesn't actually need that right now, but really any of those Books of Magic cards are not going to help him, at least not this turn. So he's taking his action. Now he does his visit. So he's in Madrid. He needs to go to Gibraltar to do this one. So he gets 2 moves. So he can go 1. Allows him to play this card because he's in Gibraltar. So he can draw 2 introductions, or 2 of these feats of magic that are available, or 1 of each. I don't think he needs another feat of magic right now, so he'll take 2 introductions. So he'll discard this, take 2 introductions, which allow him to get prestige. He got 1 for the Admiralty in London, and 1 for Soho Square in London. That doesn't really help him currently. He can not make it to Salamanca or Geneva currently to play these cards, so he'll just use his other move to head back to Madrid, so next turn he'll be able to go to Salamanca. Now it's time to do magic. So did he get anything that he can use? No. Trees? No. We need birds. He doesn't have anything useful at all. So, no good for John Segundus this time. No confronting the fairy. So he'll just draw his 1 invitation card. Let's see, does he have more than 5 now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's his hand limit, so he's done. So finally on to Jonathan Strange. I guess I'll go ahead and do his turn because I think he might be able to do something we haven't seen. Alright, so for Jonathan Strange's action, he wants to play some rain. We can only play birds because that's what's on the card. But he does have a rain card, and he has a Book of Magic that allows him to change anything to rain. And he needs 2 rain to complete this feat of magic. So he's going to go ahead and play this action, which will allow him to also play rain as well as the birds on the card of Marseille. Alright, so that's his action. So now he goes on to his visit step where he can move and play cards. He's here. He wants to go to Florence, which is 1 move, and he wants to go there because he has this card, which will allow him to gain 4 prestige. So he'll play that because he's now in Florence. And that will move him up 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's on this connection step. So he can put a token on one of these connection abilities, which gives you, a special ability. This one gives you 4 or 3 extra magicianship. Or you can take one of these cards for its ability. So you could take this Coachman to move to any location on the board, or take a feat of magic. And I think what he's going to do is take this pupil, which will give him a strength, his magicianship of 3. And also because he's furthest along on the prestige track. If you're on top of somebody else, you're furthest along, so he'll get to go first next round. So he's made 1 move and played 1 card, so he could actually move again, but he needs to go to Bath, which is way up here. He cannot get there in one move, or to London, which he would have to get up here. So he can't get there in one move. If you move into the London space, then you can move to any of the spaces in the City of London. And when you come out of the City of London, you can move to any of the connected spaces next to the London space. But I think he's, well, he's actually over here. I think he'll, with his one more move, he'll just go ahead and move back up here to Geneva. And now he can do magic. So, first thing he's going to do is do this rain magic, because he has this book of magic which allows him to do, hold on, no, he can't do rain. Oh yeah, he can, because he selected that. So he's just going to use this one, which is any element, to turn it to rain. So he discards this. I have to flip this over because I've used it. But now I get a rain token and put it on this feat of magic. And I also have a rain. So I just discard that and get another rain token and put it on this feat of magic. And remember, I got to do rain because I took that as my action. Normally, I would only get to do birds this round. And I actually have a bird, but I don't need that on any of my feats of magic, so that doesn't do me any good. So, I don't confront the fairy, so I'll just draw my one invitation card. That does not put me at greater than 5 cards. I'm down to 2. So now we go on to the start of the next round. I'm going to go ahead and quit until I get to a point where we're going to confront the gentleman in the thistle down here, so I can show that part. Well, on the last turn of the game, these spaces with the black means you confront the gentleman with the thistle down here. So far, nobody's been able to defeat him. It is John Segundus' turn. He's the first player this round. And he's really not able to do anything. Now, what I hadn't shown in the previous part is how you confront. So, his marker is on the 36 track, so basically you got to compare your magicianship. So, John Segundus has completed 3 feats of magic, so that only adds up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then he's got 2 books of magic, so that's 10, 11, and then he has the pupil, so that's only 14, not even close to 36, so he definitely does not defeat him. So now we go on to Jonathan Strange, who is next. And he's got to choose his action for the turn. He has this connection: before choosing an action or still in the waters, draw an introduction. So he can do that. Put that with his cards here. He's trying to complete these feats of magic. So he needs trees, hills, wind, or stone. And currently you can only play hills or birds. So let's see what he's going to do. I'll be back. Well, for his action, he's going to take this where he can do magic with one additional element of his choice this turn. So other than the hills and the birds, he can do one of his choice. So first he's going to move, so let me get that done and then I'll come back. Well, he was only able to move as far as Madrid, which does not help him because none of his cards go there. So now it's his turn to do magic. And for his feats of magic, he needs wind, stone, hills, or trees. He can only do hills or birds, so not much help. not much help, but he does where he can use the one extra element. So he can do heals. So he'll play this heal. And put it here. He really needs a tree, so he'll use that. He can, as one additional element, he'll use tree that he can play. So he plays the tree, puts it there. He completes this feat of magic. So you take these tokens off, put them back in the supply. Oops. Put them back in the supply. And he gets to add this. Adds 5 to his magicianship into his completed feats of magic. And he gets to draw a spell card. This one, play when acquiring a book of magic to take a book from the discard pile. Well, that's not helpful at this point. And I think that is all he can do. So now he goes to the confront the fairy. Again, we need 36. He's got 2, 6, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Not enough. Not enough to defeat the fairy. So his turn is over. Alright, the last chance for anybody is Gilbert Norrell. Let me decide what I'm going to do with him and I'll come back. Alright, I think we know what we're going to do for Norrell. Again, we can place hills and birds. And he needs hill to complete this feat of magic, and he needs birds to complete this feat of magic. So, I don't think he's going to bother trying to move or do any of that. So we'll just go. You know, he's not going to do the visit step. He doesn't want to go anywhere or do any of that. So he's going straight to the do magic. So he has this book of magic to turn a tree into any element. So discard a tree, turn it into a bird, since we can place birds this time, and he'll put it there. We have this connection power that if you have, no, not that one, this one, discard 2 cards of a matching element to place any kind of element, as long as it's one that can be placed. So I'm going to discard these 2 trees to place a hill, and that will complete this feat of magic. So that will go into his completed, and he gets to draw a spell card. Let's see, at the silver basin. Add this to your pile of completed feats. So that just gives me 1 magicianship. Well, I forgot we used this, so we have to flip it over. And that just leaves us with 2 wind, which we can't play, but we can discard 2 cards of a matching to place an element we can play. So we'll discard those 2. Actually, those were supposed to be discarded over here. And we can get another bird, but we're 1 bird short of completing that. And I don't see any way to get it. So now we go on to confront the gentleman with the thistle down here. So let's see what we got with old Gilbert Norrell. 2, 5, 10, 12, 15, 16 with that card we just got, 17, 18, 19. Not even close. So that's the last turn. Nobody's able to defeat him. So let's see what it says. If the gentleman with the thistle down hair remains undefeated by the end of 1817, he extends his reign over all of England. No player can be considered the greatest magician of the age, but you may still compare magicianship to see who amongst you is the best. Well, I'm not going to bother with that. We lost, but hopefully you get an idea of how to play the game. Thanks.